The time for convening having arrived, the Senate will come to order. At this time, I'll ask all unauthorized persons to exit the chamber. I recognize the senator from the 6th.
Good morning, Mr. President. You look a little different today. I'm not sure what's different.
I'm taller.
You're taller? Your hair's not sticking up either. Mr. President, we got some great pages here today from all over this state. Out of my district, 6, we have Lily Bouchard. She's from Bowden. We have Emma Esianumo from Atlanta. We have Shrestha Ganti from Sewanee. We have Antonia Gooden from South Fulton. Ethan Harvey from Columbus. Logan Kelly from Atlanta. Savea Morrell from Decula. Yamaya Newell from Atlanta. Dallas Parks from Jonesboro. Gervais Porcher from Atlanta. Raya Ragavaraju. I get it that time? I got it. Out of Alpharetta. Mason Sullivan out of Atlanta, and Gabriel Wilson from Lawrenceville. Y'all give our pages a big round of applause. We appreciate your service to the great state of Georgia. Mr. President, the journal has been read and found to be correct, so I move that we dispense with the reading of the journal.
Thank you. Good job, Mr. Chairman. Is there objection to dispensing with the reading of the journal? The chair hears none, and the reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there objection to the confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. All senators who have bills or resolutions to introduce, please bring them to the Secretary's desk at this time. First reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions.
Senate Bill 422 by Senators Bearden of the 30th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 21 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to elections and primaries generally, so as to provide that the date of most municipal elections shall be in even-numbered years, to provide a one-year extension to the terms of office of most municipal officers for the transition of
Ethics.
Senate Bill 423 by Senators Bearden of the 30th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 21 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to
Ethics.
Senate Bill 424 by Senators Harbin of the 16th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 5A of Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the
banking and financial institutions.
Senate Bill 425 by Senators Harbin of the 16th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 2 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated.
Education and youth.
Senate Bill 426 by Senators Harbin of the 16th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 1 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions relative to education so as to require
education and youth.
Senate Bill 427 by Senators Watson the 1st and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 34 of Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to medical practice relative to physicians so as to provide for limited provisional license.
Health and Human Services.
Senate Bill 428 by Senators Kirkpatrick of the 32nd and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 7 of Chapter 4 of Title 49 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to medical assistance generally so as to direct the Department of Community Health to
Health and Human Services.
Senate Bill 429 by Senators Dickerson of the 21st and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 7 of Title 44 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to landlord and tenant in general so as to
Veterans, military, and homeland security.
Senate Resolution 605 by Senators McLaurin of the 14th and others. A resolution condemning the killing of Alex...
Public safety.
Senate Resolution 609 by Senators Huffstetler of the 52nd and others. A resolution recognizing January 25th through the 31st, 2026 as Physician and
Health and Human Services.
Senate Resolution 605 by Senators McLaurin... Oh, 16. Oh. Oopsies. Senate Resolution 610 by Senators Hatchett of the 50th and others. A resolution creating the Senate Study Committee on improving and increasing recycling and for other purposes.
Natural resources and environment.
Mr. President, that completes... Oh. Senate Resolution 622 by Senators Kirkpatrick of the 32nd and others. A resolution creating the Joint Study Committee on evaluating escalating costs in Georgia's foster
Children and
care system.
families.
Senate Resolution 624 by Senators Setzler of the 37th and others. A resolution honoring the life of Officer Drew Haynes Brown and dedicating it.
Transportation.
Thank you, Mr. President. That completes the order.
The Secretary will read reports of standing committees.
Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Children and Families has had under the consideration the following legislation as it instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. Senate Bill 383, due pass, respectfully submitted by Senator Kirkpatrick of the 32nd. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Children and Families has had under the consideration the following legislation as it instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. Senate Bill 402, due pass by substitute, respectfully submitted by Senator Kirkpatrick of the 32nd. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Education and Youth has had under the consideration the following legislation as it instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. Senate Bill 412, due pass by Senators Hickman of the 4th. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Regulated Industry and Utilities has had under the consideration the following legislation as instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. Senate Bill 146, due pass by substitute. Senate Bill 239, due pass by substitute. House Bill 571, due pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted by Senator Bill Cowsert of the 46th. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Rules has had under the consideration the following legislation has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. House Bill 117, due pass by substitute. House Bill 483, due pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted by Senator Brass of the 6th. Mr. President, that completes the order.
The Secretary will read reports of standing committees. No, I already did that, sorry. The Secretary will read bills and resolutions for the second time.
Senate Resolution 563 by Senators Robertson of the 29th and others. Georgia Secretary of State request of the United States Department of Justice to securely produce Georgia's voter registration list. Urge. Thank you, Mr. President. That completes the order.
It is now time for the morning roll call. Are there any motions to excuse? I recognize the senator from the 33rd.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning, y'all. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the following senators: 7, 26, 10, 40, and 2nd for business inside the Capitol.
Senator, was the last one the second?
2.
Okay. All right, the senators ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senators from the 7th, 26th, 10th, 40th, and 2nd. Without objection, those senators are excused. Are there any other motions to excuse? Recognize the senator from the 31st.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 27th for business inside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 27th is excused. Are there any other motions? I recognize the senator from the 47th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 48th for other business inside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 48th is excused. Any other motions to excuse? All right, the secretary will call roll of senators. Please signify your presence by voting the yay switch. The secretary will unlock the machine. It is now time for our morning devotion. All senators, please take your seats and cease all audible conversation. Doorkeepers, please secure the chamber at this time. It's my honor to recognize the senator from the 11th District to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and then introduce the chaplain of the day.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Join me in the pledge of the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Georgia flag. I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag, and the principles of which it stands, wisdom, justice, moderation, courage. Good deal. Well, thank y'all. Thank you, Mr. President. It's my honor today to introduce the Reverend Chris Humphreys. He is the senior pastor at Bainbridge First Baptist Church in Decatur County, and he's been the pastor there since 2019. He's spent over 20 years in the ministry, serving at Calvary Baptist Church in Austell, Georgia from 2006 to 2018, and Pine Grove Baptist in Gillsville, Georgia from 2002 to 2006. Pastor Humphreys accepted Christ on March the 10th and answered the call to the ministry in 1999. He is a graduate of Columbus State University, where he received a Bachelor of Arts in History degree and a Master of Arts in Religion from Liberty University. His ministry objective has been to fulfill the Great Commission and to make sure his church is engaged locally, fulfilling God's mission locally, nationally, and around the world. And I can honestly say I've listened to some of your sermons, Pastor, and I can hear that in your voice. So I know you are holding true to that. So thank you. He's obviously an avid Bulldog fan, loves golf, loves pickleball. But he couldn't do anything without the support of his wife, Kimberly, and their two children, Luke and Hope. And, of course, I met Pastor Humphreys this past summer at one of the Georgia Baptist Public Affairs training events down in Bainbridge in Decatur County. And so it was great to be down there and share with them. But what really put him on my heart is so many of my constituents that he has to minister to down there in Decatur County, and have a lot of good friends down there. He actually brought one of them up with him. Darren Deal is over here joining him for the drive, the 4-hour drive up to keep him company. So it's just an honor to have him here. And Reverend Humphreys, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Well, good morning. Thank you so much for having me today, Senator Walker, and distinguished members of the Senate here in Atlanta. We're so grateful for you and your work. Senator Watson, thank you so much for the opportunity to stand before you. It's an honor today for me to be here, and I'm certainly grateful to stand before you today. It's very important that I let you know that I am from Bainbridge, Georgia. Even though I grew up in Atlanta, I live in Bainbridge. Bainbridge matters in Atlanta. And so I just want to make sure you guys know that. For all of my friends in Bainbridge, they're very glad that I just said that. And so thank you so much for us and for what you guys do up here. Now, I know you have a lot of work to do today, and I just simply want to offer a moment of grounding for you, because in this chamber, the pace is fast, the decisions are heavy, and the stakes are real for the people that you serve. And I'm reminded of something uniquely Georgian. Growing up in Atlanta, when you're hiking up Stone Mountain with a particular group, you quickly learn that the goal isn't just reaching the top, but it's staying together on the way up. So if one person, for example, sprints ahead, they miss the conversation. And if someone lags behind, they miss the encouragement. So the real value is found in walking together step by step. This image echoes but powerful line from Scripture. In Micah chapter 6, verse 8, we're encouraged, what does the Lord require of you but to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God? You see, justice shapes our decisions. Mercy shapes our hearts. But humility shapes our pace, how we walk with God and how we walk with one another. And if there's any place where pace matters, it's right here. You know, because of the work that you do, it isn't just about policy. It is about people. It's about neighbors. It's about families. It's about communities and futures. And walking humbly together keeps us mindful of those people. So as we begin today, I invite you to take a breath, to steady your pace, to remember the one who walks with you and the people who walk behind each and every boat that you cast. The Bible emphasizes that those who live in fellowship with a holy God and His people must live in a way which reflects His holiness. He mentioned in this passage, we love mercy. Mercy is a rich word which includes the idea of faithful love in action. Since I'm from a farmer's town, there was a farmer who once discovered that there was a group of neighborhood kids who trampled part of his garden while cutting through his property. Rows of young plants were crushed. He was frustrated because he depended on that garden. The next day, he saw the same kids walking by, but instead of scolding them, he walked out with a basket of fresh vegetables and simply said, "Looks like y'all took a shortcut yesterday. So I figured if you're going to pass through my garden, you might as well taste what's growing here." The kids were stunned. There was no lecture, no anger, just unexpected kindness. Over the next weeks, the same kids began stopping by to help him weed, water, and plant. The shortcut became a place of relationship. The garden grew, and so did their hearts. What does mercy tell us? It doesn't ignore wrong. Mercy transforms wrong by responding with a goodness the other people didn't earn. In Micah chapter 6, verse 8, it says to love mercy, not to tolerate mercy, not occasionally show mercy, but we should love it. We should delight in it because it reflects the heart of God toward us. Why does it matter? Well, it breaks circles of retaliation. We open doors for healing. We create space for God to work in ways justice alone never could. And we remind people of the mercy we ourselves live on each and every day. So walking with God stresses that man must remember that he is man and that God is God. The proud man will find God will resist him. There was a pastor once who told his congregation that he had finally mastered humility. He even announced, "I've written a book about it, humility and how I have achieved it." The next day, one of the deacons pulled him aside and said, "Pastor, you might want to rethink that title." The pastor grinned and replied, "Well, I was going to call it Walking Humbly with God, but the publisher said that it didn't sound nearly as impressive." And the deacon responded and said, "Exactly, that's the point." Public service is a calling that makes much of us think with our heart. Every decision you make affects the lives that you may never meet, and the weight of the responsibility can be heavy. And Micah suggests in these grounding words, God does not ask for perfection, He asks for orientation. That our work be rooted in justice, shaped by mercy, and carried out with humility. Justice keeps us committed to fairness even when it's costly. Mercy softens our heart toward those who struggle or disagree with us. Humility reminds us that leadership is not about elevating ourselves, but elevating the common good. So when these three virtues guide our steps, our work more than policy, it becomes service that honors God and blesses people. Please know that we pray for you, and we hope the absolute best for you as you discern and make decisions for our state. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Father, we grant our legislators wisdom that is steady, compassion that is deep, and humility that is sincere. Strengthen them to lead with integrity and listen with patience and to act with courage. May their work bring peace, justice, and hope to the people they serve. Amen. God bless you guys.
It's an excellent message. Thank you. All right, and it's time for introduce the Doctor of the Day, and I will call on the Senator from the 52nd to introduce our Doctor of the Day. Chairman,
How you doing? Good, good.
Morning. John Pittman. Yeah, good to see you.
Nice to see you. Thank you, Mr. President. I have one of our internal medicine family physicians from Rome here. And I should add that my own family physician of the last 38 years retired December 31st, so I may be calling on him here in the near future. But Dr. John Pittman is originally from Commerce, Georgia, went to Presbyterian College in South Carolina, then to Mercer, and then did his residency at Emory University, and worked in South Carolina for a while, I believe Northside Hospital, but since 2007 we've gotten him over to Rome, Georgia, and have kept him over there and working hard in our community. And he has been part of the faculty with the residency program there at Redmond Advent Hospital, as well as the Philadelphia College of Medicine as well, and numerous other appointments he's been on that have too many to number. But anyway, we're glad to have him here as the Doctor of the Day. I've had some others that have been here that have had some exciting things happen. Some of them right outside the Senate floor, but maybe we'll keep it calm today, hopefully. Anyway, thank you for being here, and say a couple of words to the Senate.
Sure will. Thank you very much for that introduction. It's very kind. And thank you for letting me serve you today as the Doctor of the Day. It's quite the honor. And thank you for your service, the fine work that you'll do today and in the upcoming part of this legislative session. So thank you very much for that. And thank you very much for your attention to the health care of our fine Georgia citizens. It has not gone unnoticed and is very much appreciated. Have a great day.
We have with us today some special guests. The Secretary will read a resolution.
Senate Resolution 596, recognizing Big Brothers Big Sisters agencies across Georgia and commending their work in supporting students and families across the state of Georgia and for other purposes. Whereas Big Brothers Big Sisters agencies across Georgia are dedicated to helping young people realize their full potential through positive, sustained mentor relationships that support academic success, strengthen families, and build safer, more connected communities. And whereas the Big Brothers Big Sisters agencies, school-based and community-based programs have produced measurable improvements in student attendance, academic performance, and sense of belonging. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body recognize Big Brothers Big Sisters agencies across Georgia for their leadership in supporting youth, families, and schools across the state, commend the Level Up program for its proven impact in reducing chronic absenteeism and strengthening student success in Georgia's schools, acknowledge the essential role of mentorship in promoting academic achievement, family stability, and long-term community well-being, and support the continued expansion of this mentorship-based program that increases attendance, improves engagement, and builds brighter futures for children across the state of Georgia. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. I'd like to call upon the senator from the 36th to introduce our special guest.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I'm so happy to bring to you today folks who are doing the great work with Big Brothers Big Sisters and to pass this resolution that commends them. We have with us today folks who are very dedicated to this program, and you know, this is a mentorship program, and the mentors benefit richly, as do the mentees. And I heard the other day the head of the national Big Brothers Big Sisters, who was being interviewed on a national program. And he pointed out that sometimes the mentors want to meet even more often than the mentees are able to handle. That it's that kind of program. It's a life-changing program for young people, and equally enriches the lives of those who mentor them. And here in Georgia, we have a Big Brothers Big Sisters agencies all across the state, and with us today are Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metro Atlanta, who've come to be recognized and to share a minute with you about their work. And I know there are many of us here in the chamber, in the Senate here in Georgia, as well as over in the House, that have had personal experience with Big Brothers Big Sisters. I'm happy to recognize and introduce and bring to the podium Kwame Johnson Sr., who is the CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metro Atlanta, and he is joined as well here on the roster by Pierre Gaither, who is the Chief Operating Officer of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metro Atlanta, with deep roots in a community that I represent here in town. Betsy Fitzgerald, the CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Heart of Macon, is with us today, and Lindsay Foster, the Executive Director of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Northwest Georgia Mountains. So they cover the state like the dew that falls. I am pleased and proud to lift up the work of this great organization here across our state, and invite Kwame Johnson, Sr., the CEO, to address us. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Senator, and thank you all for your service and your support. As you all know, we have a team of folks here with Big Brothers and Big Sisters. We have our representatives here across the state who were just introduced, but also our team who's up in the gallery here, and also our littles who are serving as pages today. So they'll be supporting you all day long, and this is an amazing, life-changing experience for them. We say that we are defenders of potential. None of us got here without somebody defending our potential. Collectively, we serve close to 4,000 youth across 30 counties here in Georgia. We're making a huge impact. We know that 98% of our young people graduate high school on time, 99% avoid the criminal justice system, and 83% feel much more connected to school. You know us for our one-to-one model, but we've been very innovative in launching new programs, and one is Level Up, where we actually have paid mentors working in school buildings every day. We are embedding mentorship in public education. This is a middle school model. Our schools have the top attendance. Chronic absenteeism is a big issue in Georgia. We are combating that. We're keeping kids in school. Suspensions are down, and kids are thriving through mentorship in our program. As the Senator mentioned, both sides benefit from mentorship, the little and the big, and it also brings people together from different worlds, and we need that more and more in the day and age that we live in, bringing different people together to support and learn from each other. So we appreciate your support. We want to expand our programs across the state. Our programs work in urban, suburban, and rural, and we have impact. So we'd love to partner with you all, and we appreciate your support in doing that.
I'd like to present the resolution to you on behalf of the Georgia Senate, Kwame, and again applaud the work. All of us know somebody whose lives are touched by this. We appreciate the invaluable contribution that this nonprofit makes here across our state. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll get our picture down there, I guess.
Let's do it.
Are there any unanimous consents? Does any senator wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? I recognize the senator from the 39th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today, more than 1,400 Georgians are here at the Capitol for Addiction Recovery Awareness Day 2026. They have come from just down the street, less than a mile from the Gold Dome, and from more than 5 hours away just to be present. These people are Georgia. They represent the more than 900,000 Georgians living in recovery, mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, co-workers, neighbors, and friends. And they also stand for the more than 1.4 million Georgians currently living with active addiction in every community, in every district, throughout our entire state. There is no family, no workplace, no school, college, university, or house of worship, not a single community that has been spared the addiction epidemic. As a co-chair of the General Assembly's Working Group on Addiction and Recovery, along with the senator from Columbus, I have had the privilege of sitting with providers, peer counselors, and people living in recovery. And what I can tell you is this: in Georgia, recovery is real. It's real in the stories walking these halls today. It's real in the lives being rebuilt. It's real in the families being restored. And I want to thank every member of this chamber, especially those who are part of the bipartisan working group, for continuing to pass legislation that saves lives and strengthens communities. And when you see our friend Jeff Breedlove today, know that he is here with more than 1,000 of our constituents. So if you can, please take a moment to say hello, because the person you meet today is not a headline or a statistic. They are a survivor of the disease that is killing more Georgians between the ages of 18 and 45 than anything else. And today they are standing here, visible, courageous, and hopeful, reminding us that in Georgia, recovery is indeed real. Thank you, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 16th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate it. And I wanted to speak to you on SB 424 that was dropped yesterday. The 4 is for Georgians. The 24 is for gold. And you say, what's gold about? What does that have to do with it? Interesting, if you will, let me kind of give you just an overview to think about. Our Gold Dome has more than 80 ounces of gold on top of the roof. That most of that came from Dahlonega, Georgia. You may not know that. Interesting that gold is a Tier 1 asset for banks, and currently gold selling is at $5,200 an ounce or more right now. But how can the average Georgian buy gold, or can they buy gold? Well, they can, and that's through transactional gold. And I want to talk about that just a second and make you aware that transactional gold is the ability to own gold on a fractional basis. That means you can take a coin such as a gold coin, and you can take your debit card and go to your gold account and transfer value and buy things at Chick-fil-A, wherever you want to buy your food or wherever you would like to do, simply by having a fraction. You can own it. You can put $100 in. You could put $5,000 in, but you don't have to buy the whole thing. Well, how does this idea come? If you look at it constitutionally, Article 1, Section 10 of the U.S. Constitution says states cannot create currency, but they can have gold and silver depositories in which their citizens can place their gold or silver, and the state has oversight. Already, Texas has its a depository, and 5 other states already have gold and transactional gold in place. Florida this year signed over, and they now have transactional gold. That their people are going to be able to own gold as a hedge against inflation and what's going on with our debt. Currently, we have $37 trillion in debt, and we are seeing this. We are seeing inflation at a way we've never seen it before. But making it practical is having the ability to own it for Georgians, overseen by the state of Georgia, but have transactional capability to be able to use that gold in small amounts if I want to. Right now, if someone owns gold, where do they put it? Well, in this way, we would have it in a depository supervised by the state of Georgia, by the treasurer, and then you would have access to your gold through a transactional side with a card. I believe this, that we need to have opportunities. And I think if you look at this, on the hat it says another way to pay. You know what? You can go in and you can pay with your MasterCard, your Visa, or whatever you would like to, but you could have a debit card to your gold account or silver account and transfer money that way as well. I believe this, it's economic freedom for Georgians, and it is a way that you can pay and own something that you could not own normally, but you could own it in small denominations using a technology called Glint, which is already out and is running right now. I just think this, I ask you to read, if you will, a little bit about what's going on, and I believe this, gold is a hedge against inflation that every Georgian should have available to them, not just limited to those who are wealthy. And I thank you very much, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 43rd for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. I rise today to say happy 70th platinum wedding anniversary to my parents. I know. Yeah, go ahead. That's a good place. That's a good place to clap. I helped. They got married on January 28th of 1956. After my dad came home from a Army tour. He is a Korean War era veteran. I know, wow, amazing. And I just want to acknowledge that we're celebrating them every day, but today is so very special because they are grandparents of 11, great-grandparents of 16, and great-great-grandparents of 4. They are retired and enjoying immediate family, church family, friends, and the community, and they are leaders. They share their love, and their legacy lives in us. So happy anniversary, Mom and Dad, 70 years strong. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 28th. Senator, would you like to speak from your desk, or you want to come to the well? Okay.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And excuse me for being so slow, but I'm walking. It's just in slow motion, but not on purpose. I rise to discuss the weekend's events in Minnesota. We all watched as a 37-year-old veteran nurse, VA nurse, was murdered in cold blood. And we all watched as the majority defended him, that murdered, because Donald Trump said they should. This morning I want to discuss how the majority has defended gun rights for 30+ years, and suddenly they do not care when Trump says that they shouldn't care. Our rights are bigger than a president. Rights are bigger than the majority's agenda. SR 605 asks us to commit to protecting those rights. The majority finds this so controversial, but the idea that we should commit to protecting rights, that they sent it to a committee. Please let me know when we can protect our rights. Pass SR 605 now. And you know I've always stood for saving lives and for justice. So I brought this to you this morning, but this afternoon we'll still be trying to save lives, because we will have a forum, because people are here from all over the state for saving lives and for talking about our autistic young people, and also about chasing the police chasing in neighborhoods and people dying as a result. So thank you for listening. Mr. Chairman, I yield the will. Thank you.
Senators yielded the well. Lots of points of personal privilege today. I now call on the senator from the 15th, the Dean of the Senate, for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. As Dean of the Senate, I've had the honor of being called. I certainly appreciate that. And a member of the Veterans Hall of Fame, I come to the podium this morning to express some troubled observations that we witness in our chamber and our country. I've stood in the chamber for years defending all rights. I fought to defend them while serving in our armed forces. And today, I, along with a lot of others, mourn the ease with which we set aside those rights when it suits our political convenience, especially when it benefits our President Donald Trump. Across our nation, we've seen a moment of profound shock and controversy in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where Alex Pretty, a 37-year-old ICU nurse and U.S. citizen, was shot and killed by federal agents during an immigration enforcement operation. This tragedy has ignited widespread debate, with bystanders' footage and reporting raising serious questions about how federal force was used. Viral videos appears to contradict official narratives and show Pretty attempting to help others, not engaging in violence when the shooting occurred. Whether one agreed with his views or not, Freddie was not chaos incarnate. He was a citizen who voiced his opinion, legally carried a firearm under state law, and whose death has sparked calls for investigation and accountability from leaders across the political spectrum. We may disagree on the full reach of the Second Amendment, but we do not disagree that every American has a right to self-defense, to protest, and to feel secure under our Constitution. Here in Georgia, let us not wait for the tragedy like the one that happened. Let's not see that happen in our streets before we choose to act. I urge all of our colleagues on both sides of the aisle, friends with whom I worked with for years, to join me in protecting our rights, not sidelining them when it's inconvenient. We should pass State Resolution 605 by unanimous consent. Let us reaffirm our commitment to our civil liberties and to the very freedoms that make this nation worth defending. This is America. I yield the well, Mr. President. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 26th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, of the Senate, flew around and thought about 37 years ago. You know, when I grew up in Macon, Georgia, I was born in a town called Toomersville in Byron, Georgia. And on the weekend, I always wanted to go back to the country so I could hunt with my cousin. I never will forget being 13 years old, and he gave me a J.C. Higgins double barrel 410. And I used to go shoot the squirrels out the pecan trees and get $1 for the squirrel. When I was teaching school, every payday, I used to go to Rose's and buy a gun. I bought a SKS for $49 in the box with the bayonet and everything in it. And when I had a fire at my house, and when the fireman got there, I said, you need to get to the basement, because if you don't, it's going to be like the 4th of July. But as I go home and watch television, and I see people getting killed. You said he had a gun, but you took the gun, and then you shot him and he was face down. Now, yes, I'm a Democrat, and the majority of you in here are Republicans. But at some point in time, when do we do what we need to do? Donald Trump gets in his pants the same way I do, one leg at a time. He told you when he got reelected, he was going to be like a dictator. No wonder he likes Putin, because Putin kills all of his opposition. And it seems as though this president that we have is doing a whole lot. He's a president that's making plenty of money. Crypto coin. Prince of Saudi puts $2 billion in it. He's making more money than you can shake a stick at. But we in here And many of us, those of you who are old, know what happened back in the day. I don't plan to fight the Civil War all over again. History tells us where we've been. But I'm saying to all of you, we don't need a federal detention center in Georgia. People are being stopped because they don't speak English or they look different. Skin color is part of the problem. Now, I've seen and watched on television, and you telling me I didn't see what I saw. The lady that got killed wasn't trying to run over the officer. When you look at it, she was turning the car to the right. The officer ran up and shot her in the head. And you trying to say it's all right. A nurse who had a pistol-toting permit, gun taken. He's scuffling with ICE officers. He's put on his stomach. And the next thing you know, you hear 6 shots. And he's dead. Something is wrong. You're the majority, but sometimes you have to stand up for what's right. As I said, many of you who are of the age that I am know what we went through in the South. But it's time that we stand up for human rights and stand up for what's right. I yield the way.
Senators yielded the well. I recognize the senator from the 55th for a point of personal privilege. Senate rules allow 5 minutes, but you don't have to use all 5 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen of this distinguished body, I rise to speak to recent events. On January 24th, heavily armed federal immigration agents deployed by the current president ruthlessly murdered an American citizen less than 2 miles from his home. Alex Preddy was a 37-year-old nurse caring for American veterans at the VA hospital in Minneapolis. He was a lawful gun owner peacefully attending a public protest. This is the man that the current administration is calling a terrorist. At the time of his murder, Alex was shielding a woman. The administration said he was a danger to law enforcement. At the time of his murder, Alex was legally carrying his firearm. The current administration has said possessing a firearm justifies Border Patrol agents murdering him. At the time of his murder, Alex was voicing his displeasure to violent overreach he believed his government was engaged in, like so many Americans before him have. Even the National Rifle Association spoke loudly this weekend, saying that current administration officials had to stop calling the victims a terrorist simply because he lawfully possessed a firearm. For years, we heard that the good guy with a gun stops the bad guy with a gun. We can't have it both ways, my colleagues. Simply protesting peacefully cannot evolve to a situation where violence is the reign of the day. Why? Because democracy is the resolution of our differences in a nonviolent fashion. The First Amendment is so important for this reason. It is the alternative to the bullet. It is alternative to countries where they are violently overthrowing the government because there are people that don't have a voice that is being heard. Democracy is so important because of the right to vote, the right to peacefully protest. Why? Because violence is the language of the unheard. If people cannot safely voice a different opinion through peaceful protests or the vote, violence is the only alternative. And we cannot give up this great country, a country built on the right. The First Amendment is the right to peacefully protest. And the Second Amendment protects the First Amendment. But we have turned it upside down. We cannot have it both ways. And I challenge my colleagues, because it makes no sense that we are not passing a unanimous Senate Resolution 605. It makes no sense that we don't stand up, and we must change that whole narrative. We must learn to live together or die and perish as fools. That is the real crux of this matter. And I stand because we cannot allow injustice anywhere to flourish unspoken and unchallenged. And that is the right to peacefully protest. First they came for the socialists, and I did not speak up because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. I challenge you, my colleagues, we must speak up for the least, the lost, and the left out. This is America. This is the United States of America. It is not the divided states of America. Thank you very kindly. Thank you very kindly. Thank you very kindly.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 11th for a point of personal privilege.
Mr. President, I just need the record to show once again that I love my wife. I need to wish her happy 20th anniversary. Yes, thank y'all. And I want to publicly promise to her no more transmissions for her car, no more working cows on the weekends, and no more holding that pen for the excavator while I'm working on it either. So the next 20 ought to be better than these past 20. So I love you. Thank you for what you do for our family and our farm, and we'll see you this weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Clearly, Emily must be a saint, and we greatly appreciate her sharing you with us. So thank you very much. All right, now I recognize the senator from the 6th, our illustrious Rules Chair.
It has become tradition here in the Georgia State Senate that when the senator from the 11th comes and wishes his wife happy anniversary, that it's a good reminder for me to do the same. So, Megan, love you. I'm not making any promises like the senator from the 11th did, although the cattle thing's probably safe. But happy anniversary. We're 19th, so always right behind you.
God bless you, Megan. Now I recognize the senator from the 9th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Now we're back to the other programming today. So I rise today on a personal point of privilege to redirect us back to the tragedies of this weekend and the tragedies that have been happening in Minnesota. On my way to the Capitol this morning, I saw some signs just before you hit I-20. I don't know if y'all saw these folks. They had signs up that read, "Resist, call your legislators." And now people are active. So let me be clear about this. All the Trump administration is accomplishing right now is mobilizing voters. People are waking up to the erosion of our democracy. People are waking up to the fact that the Trump administration and Republicans have manufactured a crisis by demonizing immigrants to distract from the real problems that the Republican Party has failed to solve. People can't afford housing. Healthcare costs are rising. Families are feeling the pinch every time they go and get groceries. And instead of addressing any of that, the Trump administration has created a crisis, hired government-paid thugs, all under the facade of immigration enforcement. Republicans seem perfectly fine with unchecked ICE enforcement. Republicans seem fine with Americans feeling fear. Republicans want chaos. Republicans seem to be okay with terrorizing our citizens. We're seeing this in Minnesota, and I want Georgians to understand, don't think this can't happen in Georgia. ICE is right here in Georgia. And yet many Republicans remain silent about holding ICE accountable. What's especially troubling is some of my Republican colleagues are running for higher office. Governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, yet not one has spoken out about what is happening with ICE. ICE's unaccountability. No one's speaking out about the outrage of what is happening in Minnesota and what could possibly happen here in Georgia. And let me remind this chamber of something simple. Every single one of us came from somewhere, whether by choice or by force. If anyone needs a reminder of where you came from, go check your ancestry. We all came here from somewhere. And we used to be a nation that welcomed all. The Republican Party has become the party that excuses violence against U.S. citizens on U.S. soil. What happened in Minnesota was not caused by an immigrant. It was violence committed by a U.S. citizen or U.S. citizens against another U.S. citizen. And that's the truth. And we need to acknowledge that is wrong. Now Republicans refuse to commit to protecting our First Amendment rights. Somehow defending the right to protest has become too controversial for them. Trump himself has suggested that lawfully possessing a firearm justified the death of Alex Pretty. Let that sink in. Now Republicans are refusing to commit to protecting our First Amendment's right, to make an excuse for Donald Trump and his administration. We're in a state with permitless carry. And we're in a state where in the past, Republicans in this body have always defended that, and the NRA. You can't defend gun rights on one hand and justify the execution of a U.S. citizen on the other. The hypocrisy is unacceptable. Today, we're asking our colleagues to stand up for democracy and for the people of this state by supporting common sense legislation that protects the constitutional rights of U.S. citizens and Georgians. SB 389, requiring visible identification and no mask. SB 397, allowing legal action when constitutional rights are violated. SB 391, prohibiting entry into schools without a warrant. And SR 605, affirming the right to protest and the right to legally carry firearms. These are not partisan bills. These are bills to protect Georgians and protect our values and our rights.
Senator.
Yes,
with all
Mr.
due respect, your time has elapsed.
Okay.
So I would ask you to please yield the well.
I will yield the well. Just understand that the pendulum is swinging and the Democrats are coming. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 56th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've served in this august chamber for some time. Less than a few of you, but more than most of you. And I have to remind everybody every couple of years, this is the Georgia State Senate. It's not the United States Senate. It's not any one of the other 49 state legislatures. It is the Georgia State Senate. Now, whether you're trying to get on the news or you're trying to run for other office, everyone has a right to come to this well, and we respect that. But what I haven't heard in the last year, which just baffles me, is the illegal criminal aliens who did the following in Georgia. Brought enough fentanyl into this state to kill half the state's population. I didn't hear anyone come up to the well and talk about that. The hundreds of drug traffickers that we took off the streets that are not poisoning your communities, your families, and your children. How about the homicide, manslaughter, the dozens of cases of child aggravated molestation, the child rape and imprisonment, the battery of a child, the felony murder convictions, the incest and child molestations. Don't come to this well and say acknowledge something that happened in another state when you're not acknowledging the very things happening in your state that are impacting your community. If you want to hold the press conference or you want to waste all our time up here talking about whatever you want to talk about, God bless you. But you're a Georgia State Senator. Keep your eye on the ball, and let's protect our communities. Thank you. I yield the well.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 44th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Perhaps I'll be our last speaker, colleagues. Who knows? I do think it's important to point out that the pattern of behavior that we have been witnessing in Minnesota and Minneapolis actually is simply an escalation of what's been going on for a year now. The federal government under the Trump administration has repeatedly violated fundamental rights protected by the U.S. Constitution. They've attacked free expression, they've crushed peaceful assembly, they've choked the free press, they've ignored judicial orders and due process, they've inflicted cruelty on detained individuals. Now it's also that they've murdered 2 Americans, Alex Preddy and Renee Good. And the thing is, Alex Preddy was peacefully attending a public protest. He legally possessed a concealed firearm. It wasn't visible. He didn't approach ICE agents brandishing a gun, despite Secretary Noem's outrageous comments to the contrary. He was simply holding his phone, filming the agents. So Alex Preddy was doing exactly what every law-abiding American gets to do. He was exercising his constitutional rights. He was following gun laws written by Republican legislators. He was carrying legally and protesting peacefully. And for that, he was murdered in cold blood. And now Republicans, starting with President Trump, are blaming Alex for his own death. They are using his possession of a gun to justify ICE agents killing him in the streets of Minneapolis. And for good measure, they've trashed his reputation, smeared his name, and inflicted even more pain on his grieving family. So let's be clear that this is not about public safety. This is about power and following the orders of the president. So Trump, his administration, and this Republican Party have been willing to turn their backs on the First, Fourth, Fifth, and Eighth Amendments. The first, now trampling peaceful protest. But what's truly unbelievable is watching Republicans turn on their favorite amendment, the Second Amendment, defending the killing of a citizen for legally carrying a gun, because Alex was legally armed. So the same politicians that made Kyle Rittenhouse, a 17-year-old who went to a protest illegally carrying an AR-15 and murdered 2 people, the same people that made that guy a folk hero are now silent. The same politicians and Republican Party that have told us for decades that more people carrying more guns in more places makes all of us safer are now silent as Preddy is brutally murdered by his own government because he had a gun. That is hypocrisy, but far more than that, that's authoritarianism. So again, the administration is making free speech, peaceful assembly, and lawfully carrying a firearm offenses punishable by death in America. And we just don't, I know you think, oh, they keep going on about it. Well, that's because we don't hear Republicans defending our rights, denouncing the killings, and most importantly, standing up to the Trump administration. We also heard that we Democrats refused to name Laken Riley in 2024, which is not true because our former leader and myself both expressed our disgust over her murder. And for you, Senator from the 56th, yeah, we want to get criminals off the streets. Illegal alien criminals and other criminals. We support that. But we do not support the running amok of a federal government at the orders of one man who's installed only lieutenant minions to carry out his orders within his administration, trampling, destroying the rights of Americans, and killing them for exercising those rights. And that's why everyone's angry, and that's why everyone's scared. This is not what they wanted and not what they voted for. The Constitution is not a page of suggestions. It is a foundation for our society. Even though Donald Trump thinks only his own morality is the only thing that can stop him from doing what he wants. That's what he said. That's what he told the New York Times. Well, I'm here to say, actually, it's the Constitution. And we do expect Republican legislators to make that clear for Georgians. I urge a hearing on SR 605 immediately. That is why the senator from the 14th and Senate Democrats have filed it. It reaffirms our constitutional rights in the face of these attacks. And I think it will be pretty telling if we don't have a hearing on SR 605. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Senators yielded the well. Chair recognizes the senator from the 17th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our constituents, colleagues, our constituents send us to the Capitol for one reason, above all others, to protect them and to ensure their rights are respected and defended. What we are saying today should concern every one of us. SR 605 simply asks this body to affirm its commitment to civil rights, including the Second Amendment rights that the majority so often claim to champion. Yet we refuse to do so, not because those rights lack value, but because protecting them is politically inconvenient for Donald Trump. We do not have a king in this country. We have a democracy. And if we intend to remain one, then we must commit to defending the rights of people, not bending them to serve any single president. I commend my United States Senator, Reverend Raphael Warnock, for representing all of us well by traveling to Minneapolis to meet with faith leaders and show his commitment of protecting civil rights for his constituency and the constituency across this nation. Colleagues, I implore you today to be champions of justice. Stand with persons who are engaged in nonviolent resistance and protest. Say no to ICE, no to murder by federal agents, no to this administration lying about Mr. Alex Previs being an assassin and domestic terrorist. Yes, I am a Georgia State Senator, and I stand here today to say that injustice is wrong. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, and I quote, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one indirectly affects all indirectly," emphasizing that we all have a responsibility to act against oppression. So today, I ask you to think about justice. Mr. President, thank you, and I yield the well.
Senators yield to the well. Chair recognizes the senator from the 30th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief. I just want to, something that concerns me here a little bit when we talk about law enforcement, whether that be ICE, whether it be our state troopers that we see in the building, our county, local police. When we use terms like thugs, murderers, and terrorists to describe a law enforcement agency, we are rising the temperature and the risk level for our state troopers, our county deputies, and our local police. I think we all support our local law enforcement and our state law enforcement. I think what we are doing with some of the language we're using is putting them at a level that they, a heightened risk anyway on this job. I think we're putting them in a more dangerous area than what they should be put in by using this language. When I hear the word terrorist, that's concerning, along with the other ones. We always talk about lowering the temperature. We need to lower this temperature to make sure our law enforcement officers are safe in this state. I'm going to do everything I can in my power as a person in this body to protect our law enforcement officers and get them what they need to do their job and do it professionally and do it well, which I think every single one of them in this state does a dang good job. So to all our state law enforcement officers, DNR, GBI, county, city, thank you so much for everything that you do and put your lives on the line every day for us. So thank you so much. I'll yield the well.
Thank you, Senator. Chair recognizes the senator from the 35th, but he's not in his seat. I'm not sure he can be recognized if he's not in his seat. Oh, there he is. Chair recognizes the senator from the 35th, point of personal privilege. He did a very good job on lawmakers last night. along with our other freshman senator from the 21st. They represented the Senate proud.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. I have a few burning questions from everyone in this body. Question number one, have our politics become our idol? What have we sacrificed at its altar? Back to question number one. Have our politics become our idol? Follow-up question. What have we sacrificed at its altar? It seems that many of us have potentially sacrificed our principles at its altar. Some of us may have on occasion sacrificed courage, sacrificed morals. But I want all of us to really ask ourselves that question. Have our politics become our idol? After that question, it's probably good to ask if that idol created this world. Does that idol hold this world together? Millions of things have to go just right, just for every person in this room to take a breath. Are we going to give our idols credit for that? I ask that we acknowledge where we're going to put our trust, where we put our faith, and dare I say, where we put our security. I don't claim to have all the answers, but if we can start from that point of agreement, then we can get some things done and show the rest of the country how to move forward in this space. I yield the well.
Chair recognizes the minority leader, senator from the 22nd, for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief. I just want to read one thing. I actually had not planned to come up today, but when I heard about the fact that we're in the Georgia Senate, maybe we should not deal with this. Over the summer, there was an opinion written that I think every lawyer ought to put in their lapel or in their inside pocket. It was written by Judge Wilkinson, who was a Reagan appointee, still on the bench, 80 years old, Reagan appointee, and they were dealing with the Garcia case, and they ruled against the administration. This one paragraph, I think, actually still fits even what we're talking about today and the seriousness of it, and why no matter where you are, you should take it seriously. And what he says is this. He says, it is, as we have noted, all too possible to see in this case, we could say in this particular case we're dealing with right now, an incipient crisis. But it may be present, but it may present an opportunity as well. We, the judiciary and America, yet cling to the hope that is not naive to believe our good brethren in the executive branch perceive the rule of law as vital to the American ethos. This case presents your unique opportunity to vindicate that value and to summon the best that is within us while there is still time. That is an amazing, powerful statement from a federal court of appeals judge, Reagan appointee, to say while there is still time. He is telling us, that bench was telling us, there is a crisis going on in America. Please wake up. It's not about where you are. It affects all of us. And what he said in that opinion fits exactly what we're talking about today. When he talks about the case, he was talking about the Garcia case there, but he could be talking about this case right here. While there is still time, an amazing, powerful statement from a federal court judge, Reagan appointee. While there is still time, forget about the whataboutism, what you didn't say over here, what you didn't say over here. While there is still time to save this democracy. That is what he said. And I think that anybody, and especially attorneys in this day and age, ought to keep that close to them and understand what this fight is about while there's still time. Thank you, and I yield the well.
Are there any other senators who wish to rise for a point of personal privilege? Any other senators? Chair recognizes the senator from the 29th.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. I guess listening to all of this chatter, and be clear, that's what it was. As everybody came up and spoke, I saw one individual that went to the same police academy I went to. I saw one individual that went to the firefighters academy and worked alongside public safety. And then what I saw scattered about amongst those groups were politicians, people looking for the opportunity. But I'll tell you something that I learned well before I went to the police academy, something that I learned in my Georgia class that I had to pass when I was in junior high school, which is middle school to some of you in the room, and what I learned in my social studies class is something called due process. And what I heard today is that every American who does not wear a badge has the right to due process. But if you do wear a badge, you have a right to the jury of a bunch of Georgia state senators who watch, and I quote, viral videos, who listen to rhetoric throughout the news cycle on the internet and their favorite targeted silo channel on their favorite website or their favorite print publication that may still be in existence. But I'm gonna hit you with a news flash. The men and women of law enforcement, they don't get to sit behind their desk, press their button, write their speech, grab a laptop or a cell phone and read from it while they're in a critical incident. They don't get to do that. And you know what that means? That means that 99.999% of the time, their training is going to kick in and they're going to make the right decision. And that means that fraction that is left over, a mistake can be made. I said a mistake, not an intentional thing. The lawyers, the attorneys, those with law degrees that stood up here and spoke, I was amazed at how you avoided due process, where if we were talking about somebody charged with rape, if we were charged with somebody charged with murder, if we were talking about somebody charged with anything else under Title 16 or even Title 40, you'd be holding a press conference and screaming about due process, the right to a jury trial, the right to discovery. I heard one of our colleagues come up here and talk about being struck by a car. Apparently he wasn't on the scene when we see law enforcement officers who are ran over by automobiles and killed. He's never seen law enforcement officers be intentionally ran over when the vehicle is used as a weapon against law enforcement officers. And I will tell you, most law enforcement officers I know are pretty tough men and women, and they can handle some pretty tough adversaries, but you're never going to beat an automobile. I can promise you that. I'm not asking you not to have your opinion. I'm not asking you to like law enforcement. And please, for the hypocrites in the room, which there are many, I have seen year after year after year after year you frothing at the opportunity to demonize the men and women who wear the badge unless one of them dies, unless a member of their family dies, and then everybody wants to don a black veil and pretend that they are law enforcement's best friend. And that is not the case. And sadly, it is not the case in this chamber, it is not the case in this building, and it is not the case around this city and other cities like it. But I've told you before what I am, and that's what I will always be. I'm a part of that fraternity, and I will always be. And until I see you sitting in a use of force class with me, until I see you rolling around on the ground training with me, until I see you try to handcuff me and realize that 3 of you can't, without it becoming extremely violent, and I'm going to get my licks in, then please do not judge my brothers and sisters while they're out doing their job. Ask all the questions you want to ask, but do not judge. That's for a jury to do, not you. And to the senator from the 35th, you're absolutely right. Sometimes politics becomes people's gods. That's why people who claim to be ministers can stand in the pulpit and support the murder of unborn children. And with that, Mr. Chair, Mr. President, I yield the well.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 33rd for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President, my fellow senators, colleagues, friends, and y'all. This is not my wedding anniversary as the other senators that came forth, but it is the 5th anniversary of me and my girlfriend, Linda. And I want to say, Linda, I hadn't forgotten you. But while I'm up here, I want to encourage us to think about ways we can move together forward in order to resolve this situation that's going on, because it's not a good reflection on any of us. I don't care what your persuasion is. But I think now moving forward that we should start dialoguing on how we can come together and prevent situations like this from happening in the future. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield well.
Thank you, Senator. You have before you a consent calendar of privileged resolutions. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar? Is there objection to the adoption of the resolutions on the consent calendar? Chair hears none, and the resolutions on the consent calendar are adopted. I recognize the senator from the 6th for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent that HB 377 be withdrawn from the Committee on Rules and be committed to the Committee on Government Oversight.
The senator from the 6th District has moved that HB 377 be withdrawn from the Committee on Rules and committed to the Committee on Government Oversight. Is there objection? Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 377 by Representatives Lawrence of the 123rd and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Subpart 1 of Part 4 of Article 2 of Chapter 2 of Title 8 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions for manufactured or mobile homes so as to provide for limited exceptions to circumstances under which a manufactured home shall become real property and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Does any senator object to the esteemed Rules Chairman motion? Hearing none, HB 377 is referred to the Committee on Government Oversight. All right, we've got a number of special actions today, and I recognize the senator from the 56th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd ask unanimous consent that the Senate disagree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 9.
The senator from the 56th has asked for unanimous consent for the Senate to disagree on House substitute Senate Bill 59. Any objections? Read the caption. Sorry.
Senate Bill 9 by Senators Albers of the 56th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 3 of Chapter 12 of Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions relative to obscenity and related offenses so as to repeal and replace Code Section 16-12-80 relating to obscene material, distribution, and penalty to amend Article 1 of Chapter 10 of Title 17 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to procedure for sentencing and imposition of punishment so as to provide for sentencing of defendants who utilize artificial intelligence in the commission of certain crimes, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the House offers the following substitute. To amend Title I of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to elections so as to establish the criminal offenses of fraudulent election interference and solicitation of such, to provide for definitions, to provide for exceptions, to provide for the Attorney General to have concurrent jurisdiction over such crimes, to provide for punishment, to provide for injunctive relief, to provide for the State Election Board to publish results of investigations into such offenses, to provide for certain disclaimers on campaign advertisements that use AI-generated media, to provide for the form of such disclaimers, to provide for definitions, to provide for legislative findings and intent and other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Senator from the 56 has asked for unanimous consent that the Senate disagree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 9. Is there objection? Hearing none. All right, so no objection. Here, no objection. The Senate disagrees to the House substitute of Senate Bill 9. Chair recognizes the senator from the 50th for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 148.
Agreeable. Senator from the 50th moves that we agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 148. Would the Secretary read the caption?
Senate Bill 148 by Senators Hatchett of the 50th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 11 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to public school property and facilities so as to provide for an outdoor learning spaces pilot program, to provide for a pilot program evaluation and report, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 148. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to elementary and secondary education so as to provide that local boards of education shall be authorized to provide instruction in hunting safety in grades 6 through 12, to provide for the adoption of content standards by the State Board of Education, to provide that the local boards of education may establish a curriculum in hunting safety, to provide for instructor requirements, to provide for an outdoor learning spaces pilot program, to provide for a pilot program evaluation and report, to remove the requirement of having a licensed physician and automated external defibrillator programs, to increase from 3 to 5 the number of accumulated 6 leave days teachers and other schools personnel may take each school year for personal and professional reasons, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 50th to speak to his motion.
This one's good job.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today to ask that we agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 148. This Senate bill started out as a project that myself and the senator from the 5th were working on for several years, dealing with outdoor education. This bill passed unanimously last year, went over to the House. On a personal note, I was able to benefit greatly from an outdoor classroom at North Habersham Middle School. Shout out to my 7th grade middle school teacher, Miss Hunt. And I think today's students should also benefit from that same opportunity. Additionally, as this bill progressed, some other very good items were placed on the bill. One deals with AED requirements, making it easier for schools to have those automated defibrillator devices, or external defibrillators, excuse me. It also, when it was in the House, provision was added dealing with hunter safety instruction.
Senator, please suspend for a minute. All right, Senators, this is an important piece of legislation. If we agree to it as final passage, I want you all to understand what it does, and I would appreciate you giving the senator from the 50th the respect of being quiet and listening to him. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. And lastly, I want to thank Senator from the 31st, Senator from the 4th, and the senator from, I can't remember his number, 48th, excuse me. This bill also will be a huge step to supporting our teachers, which this will allow them to go from 3 days of personal leave to 5 days of personal leave per school year. With that, Mr. President, I'm happy to yield for any questions.
You have a question from the Senator of the 5th. Recognize the Senator of the 5th.
I think he wants to come out.
Oh, sorry. Senator, I don't see any questions.
Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the ball.
All right. Chair recognizes the senator from the 5th to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator from 50th, and all of my colleagues. You know, this bill, one of the bills that says outdoors learning facilities, I've been working with most of you all in this chamber, and some of us not in this chamber that left the chamber a number of years ago. This is one of the great, I guess, since I've been here, one of the most important bill for me is a bipartisan bill that I've been working on it. And thank you for each of you all to supporting this particular bill. And I want to thanks to House for passing this bill. It took me a little bit while to get it done, but I just want to thank all of you for supporting the bill. And this is a great day for the children of Georgia. This is the great day for the young folks in the state of Georgia. And I think you're going to see the benefit of this bill long after we are gone from this chamber. And thank you for supporting this bill. I should appreciate it. Mr. President, I yield the word.
Senator Chair recognizes the senator from 36. Do you want, you had a question? Okay, he's yielded the well. All right, moving on. The senator from the 50th has moved that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 148. All those in favor of the motion by the senator from the 50th will vote yea. All opposed will vote nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. On the motion, the yeas are 50 and the nays are 0. The motion prevailed and the Senate has agreed to the House substitute to Senate Bill 148. I recognize the senator from the 41st for a motion.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute to SB 170.
Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 170 by Senators Jackson of the 41st and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 12 of Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to commissions and other agencies so as to create the Georgia Interagency Council for the Homeless to provide for the purpose membership and duties of such council, to provide for reporting of activities, to provide for compensation, to provide for legislative findings, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the House offers the following substitution to Senate Bill 170. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 31 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the Department of Community Health so as to provide for a grant program for the purpose of providing funding to certain rural hospitals for acquiring or installing backup generators to ensure continuity of operation during a state of emergency, to provide that the department shall consult with the Georgia Emergency Management and Homeland Security Agency in establishing grant criteria, to provide for the department to establish grant amounts, to provide for definitions, to provide for related matters, to provide for an effective date, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 41st to speak to the motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to speak to SB 170 today. It was a beautiful bipartisan bill that originated in this body, and the House saw fit to use it as a vehicle to pass something else, which is to provide, should we choose to appropriate the funds, to provide a fund for rural hospitals to be able to purchase generators in the event of they need generators. Again, this is subject to appropriations, so if we as a body decide that that's not how we want to spend our money, we don't have to. With that, I will yield for all the questions.
No questions, Senator.
Thank you. I ask for your favorable consideration on the passage
I
of this.
apologize. Chair recognizes the senator from the 52nd for a question.
Thank you. Will the senator yield?
I sure will.
As a senator, where I do work in a hospital in an operating room, and do appreciate it when the generator comes on at that time. And does the senator have a list of how many hospitals do not have a backup generator at this time?
No, sir, Senator, I do not have a list, but I assure you that anybody who's laying on the bed when you are beside them is appreciative as well for those generators that come on.
Is the senator aware that, from what I've seen, that number is 0 right now that don't have a backup generator?
Senator, I am honored to carry a House vehicle today. This is not originating from my beautiful brain.
Okay.
So I apologize that I perhaps do not have all the information that you would like for me to have.
All right, I just am wondering if this is a solution in search of a problem, but thank you for your comments.
I'll simply remind us, if there's no money to be appropriated for it, then it doesn't do any good. But should we find ourselves needing to appropriate the funds for it, we will have enacted the law to make it possible. So I do ask for your favorable consideration, but I certainly hear the senator's concerns.
No further questions, Senator.
I yield the will. Oh, I'm sorry.
Late arriving question, senator from the 32nd.
About that, Senator, do you yield?
I will yield.
Senator, are you aware that federal law already requires hospitals to have generators?
I am certainly aware of that, ma'am.
So can you, would you yield for another question?
Happy to yield.
So can you explain how this bill is not redundant to what already exists for hospitals?
Well, it seems to me that our colleagues in the House found that it was fit and right to pass a bill that allows for some funding resources from the state should, I guess, these rural hospitals need some backfilling. I'm grateful for the work of my House colleagues. I do not know that they were aware of the minds of the federal government at the time, but here we do have a bill from the House that is certainly good intentions and certainly does no harm, which I think as a physician you value. So the bill does no harm, and that's why I'm here to stand in support of it.
Thank you.
All right, Senator.
Okay, I will yield the well.
Okay. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the motion? The senator from the 41st has moved that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 170. All those in favor of the motion by the senator from the 41st will vote yea. All opposed will vote nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. On the motion to agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 148, the yeas are 27, the nays are 22. Having failed to have the requisite majority, it fails. The agree fails.
Mr. President,
Chair recognizes the senator from the 41st.
Mr. President, I would respectfully make a motion that we reconsider.
Senator, I think you need to make the motion to, that's not in order. Reconsideration is not in order, Senator. Chair recognizes the senator from the 41st.
Parliamentary inquiry. Mr. President.
State your inquiry.
Thank you. Would it be in order to serve notice of a motion of reconsideration for tomorrow? Would that be in order?
Senator, you get one shot at the motion to agree.
All right, thank you.
All right. Chair recognizes the senator from the 31st for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. After all that excitement, I feel like a flashback to day 40. I move that the Senate stand adjourned until 10 a.m. on Thursday, January 29, 2026.
Majority Leader has made a motion. All those in favor signify by saying an aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes clearly have it. We stand adjourned until 10 a.m. Thursday, January 29, 2026. Read the announcements.
The Rules Committee will meet upon adjournment in room 450 of Capitol. The Public Safety Committee will also meet in 450 in the Capitol at 1 p.m. The Agricultural and Consumer Affairs Committee will meet in 307 CLOB at 2 p.m. The Finance Committee will meet in Mezzanine 1 at 3 p.m. The Health and Human Services Committee will meet in room 450 of the Capitol at 4 p.m. Mr. President, that completes the order.